I have been asked to give a presentation on research methods or research methodology. You have all joined recently the teaching profession in degree colleges. Some of you are also joined the university system as assistant professors. It is the beginning of your career. Therefore, those who are interested in doing research, interested in doing PhD, and those who are interested to write a project, especially for these research assistant professors, this program envisages how to conduct a research and how to write a research proposal, and what are the funding agencies that offer lot of grants for conducting research. That is very, very essential. Since it is beginning of your career, you need to have some sort of outline knowledge about what is research. So in that context, my colleague must have been already told you about what is research and documentation of research. So in continuation of that, today I will talk about research methodology part, and also I will briefly in the next session, I will give you an outline about how to write a research project, and you will be asked to submit a research project about the research topic, and this particular research proposal will be evaluated by the expert professor in the university, and it will be assessed, and you will be awarded based on that. And the concerned teacher or professor will also tell you about the pros and cons, the positive and negatives about your research proposal. That will help you to rewrite and resubmit, fine-tune your research project before submitting the same to the funding agencies. So come back to the research methods, which I am going to talk about today. So you all know about what is research. Anyone tell me about what is research? What you have understood about research?
It's the process of searching something which is already there.
Yeah, process of
searching something which is already in existence. And it's a process of moving from unknown to known.
Unknown to known. Yeah. Any other definition?
Sir, is nothing but search again and again.
Please tell me, repeat again.
Research is nothing but search again and again.
Search again and again. Search again. Research. Search again and again. Any other definition?
So it is systematic exploration.
Sir?
Yes, yes.
So it's the process of adding knowledge to the existing knowledge, which is already there, but again, then we add something more into it.
Something new.
New into it, yes.
That is very, very important. Something new. That new thing is not there. Already knowledge is there. But while doing research, you are going to add that new knowledge that is unknown to the science. Then only we call it as a science. Okay, let me go through. I will revisit some of these points again. Let me come back to my presentation. You know that you are all teachers, and we have already know that the students are our beacons of hope, and teachers and the institution train them into leaders of tomorrow. So therefore, our teachers must be committed personally and professionally for overall development of the student, so that efficiency, effectiveness, all these things will be improved in education and research. That is the purpose. The government has appointed the teachers to enrich the knowledge and the research education in our universities. So far, the education has been generally been considered as providing information and testing in the form of an examination at the end of the semester. It is not so. So it is something to do more. Therefore, the teachers play a very important role because he is the one who fine-tune the student's mind in such a way that the efficiency and effectiveness of the student's mind will be harnessed. So if you look at the Indian education system, we all gain the knowledge through our traditional learning process. So if you look at the Indian education system, normally we admit our students to a lower nursery school, from nursery to a primary school, from primary to secondary, some secondary to higher secondary, and secondary, higher secondary to graduation, from graduation to post-graduation. We all underwent this process. Only after this, after post-graduation, you must have written some of the competitive exams like NET examination or a CSR UGC examination or state level entrance examination, especially to test the ability of the candidates, whether they fit into the teaching system or not. So you must have passed NET or KSET, state level entrance examination. Based on that, you must have been already appointed as teachers. So this is the education system that we follow. So if you look at this diagram, circle, imagine a circle that contains all the human knowledge. And by the time you enter your primary school, you will be knowing little bit about the knowledge. The blue dot that what you see, that is the knowledge that we gain in the elementary school. When we admit to high school, we learn little more about the surroundings and few other aspects of social activities, etc. By the time we join the degree program, we get specialized, whether it is a humanities or in a science subject or in a commerce subject, we get specialized. So in addition to the basic knowledge, in the degree level, you get specialized. So you will study only few subjects that are very much interest to you. Then once you complete your degree program, you will again super specialize. You will be admitted to a master degree program where you will be specialized in a single subject, either science, within the science is a biology, within biology, botany or zoology or microbiology, something like that. Or if it is a humanities, again, literature means either English or Hindi or Urdu, something like that. There are many other subjects where you, in a master degree subject, you concentrate only on one subject with a specialty. And by the teachers, botany or within a microbiology or any other chemistry, there are many specialized fields. So in that field, we are going to conduct the research and thereby we are work for about 3 to 4 years. And by the time we complete our research program, we might publish 1 or 2 papers. And after that, we are likely to submit the thesis. Once you are at the boundary line, the moment that we reach the 3 to 4 years of PhD research, then we think about publishing the papers. Once we publish the paper, we start submitting a thesis for the award of PhD degree. So that means in the circle, in the world of knowledge, we are going to make a small dent. That dent we call it as a PhD. That means when compared to the world knowledge, the PhD is a small thing. It is a small contribution, a small innovation, a small or a new knowledge that we are going to add to the existing knowledge. So by doing that, we do get a PhD degree, and that degree is the highest degree awarded by any university. And this PhD degree, it is otherwise called research degree. It is given by the university, and it is only by research. It is only by research. it is not by traditional education system. It is only by conducting a quality research and publishing the paper. Only after publishing the paper in a quality journals, our thesis or the new findings would be accepted for award of PhD degree. So we do conduct research in our university system. In India, there are three important, research system that are exists. One is the central university system, where you can do a lot of research, and we have a state university system. You can do research where state governments are going to fund the university system. In addition to that, currently, large number of private university systems are coming up, and all these university system, whether it is a central university or a state university or a private university, all these systems are regulated by the University Grant Commission, what we call UGC. Now, under National Education Policy, this University Grant Commission is likely to be renamed as Higher Education Council. We do not know. The government will take a final call. So the moment we do research under this university system in India, why we join universities for doing research? Because universities are the place where ideas and the people are there. Ideas are very, very important. Ideas are very precious because ideas are the one that change the world. And those who have ideas, they have ruled the world. So if you look back our history, it is all about ideas. Therefore, if you have ideas, these ideas must be incubated. And what is the ideal place to incubate your ideas? It is only universities. So therefore, if you have ideas, that is not enough. In order to incubate and in order to come out with a technology, we need a people. So we need a professional people. So therefore, in the university system, the professors or the scientists who are going to incubate these ideas from the student mind, and these ideas are going to change or revolutionize our existence. So in that context, the universities, the ideas and the people are very, very important. If you look back and see the greatest, people who have done quality research, based on that, the research ideas served the mankind. Look at the Louis Pasteur, a great chemist and microbiologist, who was the person who was responsible for development of vaccines against rabies. The rabies was a rabbit dog bite disease. It was very common in 18th and 19th century. There was no vaccine, there was no medicine, and even people had erroneous ideas. Nothing was known about the causative agent responsible for rabies. Now we know that rabies is a disease caused by the virus. And Louis Pasteur was a great scientist, a French scientist, without knowing the existence of virus like rabies virus, who developed the vaccine. And the ideas which he had helped them to develop a vaccine, and these vaccines served the mankind for many years. And Louis Pasteur is hailed as the greatest savior of the mankind. Alexander Fleming, he was again the man who discovered the penicillin. Now we know that penicillin is an important antibiotic which is used for treatment of many gram-positive diseases caused by gram-positive bacteria. And he discovered this penicillin accidentally from a mold, a fungus called Penicillium notatum. Later, this discovery led to the development of a wonderful antibiotic industry. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And he was awarded Nobel Prize in 1940 for discovering this wonder drug penicillin, along with E. chain and H. fluorine. Again, the discovery of penicillin was an accidental, but ideas are precious. So in that context, I am telling you this, German's Dr. Robert Koch, he developed a theory called germ theory of disease. Way back in 17th and 18th century, there was nothing was never known about the causative agent of disease. And he was the man who stated that a germ, a microorganism, is responsible for the disease, and he developed a postulate called Koch postulates. And these Koch postulates are very important even now. Without proving Koch postulates, we cannot, tell that this is the causative agent responsible for the disease. In the medical field, germ theory of disease developed by Robert Koch is one of the important things that everyone need to establish that fact that the microbes is responsible for the disease. You must have heard about Gregor Johann Mendel. He was a monk. He by his curiosity, he conducted a simple experiment on pea plant, and based on that, he developed a laws of inheritance. Today, we have a field called genetics, the theory of inheritance, and then we have a molecular biology, biotechnology. These are the discipline we are talking about in the 20th and 21st century. They revolve around the basic discovery made by Gregor Johann Mendel, and he developed the laws of inheritance. Similarly, in the physics, that Newton and the universal gravitation and the three laws of motions have been described, and all these are, tell us that ideas are very, very important. And Albert Einstein, who is known for the theory of general relativity, he is equal to mc square, one of the greatest minds of human mind, and contributed a lot, and said that only a life lived for others is worth living. Norman Borlaug, a distinguished plant breeder and a genetist, he was given Nobel Prize in Peace in 2009, and he was a plant breeder, and he developed a dwarf varieties of wheat, maize, and other cereal crops, and all these dwarf varieties responsible for green revolution in the world. And today, India has also achieved green revolution. We are all self-sufficient in agriculture production because we used the dwarf varieties that were developed by Norman Borlaug and great scientists like Professor M.S. Swaminathan. He brought the seeds from Dr. Norman Borlaug. We sown these seeds in Punjab belt of Punjab belt, and later in 1970s and 80s, we also achieved green revolution. Today, we are self-sufficiency in food production. So all these amounts to the scientific research carried out by different people, eminent people with scientific bent of mind, who all have great ideas. I would like to read this quote. It was made by M.G.K. Menon. He was the president of Indian Science Congress Association, which was held in Mysore in 1982. What he has stated, the world of today is largely the product of scientific research and development. That means whatever we are using today, whether it is for food purpose or for recreation purpose or for creative purpose or any purpose for that matter, all the things that we are using, they are all product of scientific innovation, scientific research, and therefore we need to continue this research. Only the development can be seen. Therefore, it is very important that we need to conduct research, and therefore we need to contribute for scientific development. So let us try to understand what is research. Research is defined by different people in different terminologies. Research is defined as the systematic and objective analysis and recording of controlled observation that may lead to the development of generalization, principles of theories resulting in prediction and possible ultimate control of the event. This is one particular definition. In simple terms, research means search for new knowledge. Note down this. Research means search for new knowledge. Someone has already mentioned that research, again and again, you search for new knowledge. That is not correct. It is search for new knowledge is referred to as research. So I told you, we all have ideas. We also have vital instinct of inquisitiveness, asking something, questioning something. So when you start questioning, that means you don't know something. That means you confront the unknown. When you start questioning, you will start investigating that. Okay. So that inquisitiveness is the mother of all knowledge of the method, which means, so by inquisitiveness, we discover something which is unknown to us. So that can be termed as the research. In simple terms, the research means it is a original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge. Research means it is a original contribution. You know everything, but there is still something is not known. So if you carry out a research and if you add extra new knowledge to the existing stock of knowledge for its advancement, we call it as a research. So therefore, this is very, very important. What is research means? It is a original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge, making for its advancement. The word research can be etymology point of view. The word research can be used as a noun as well as the verb. As I mentioned, the word research was derived from French language. The word research was derived from French language. The use way back in as early as in 15th century, the word was used and this word research was derived from French language. Recherche means search something new. Search something new. Why we need to conduct research? So because research is important both in scientific and non-scientific fields. In our life, every day we face problems. We face certain phenomena. We observe certain phenomena in our everyday life, and practically implementable solutions and suggestions are required for tackling new problems that arise. All of a sudden, some problems we are going to face. We will not have any solutions. Therefore, by inquisitive mind, by certain ideas, scientists or social scientists, they undertake these problems and find the solutions, find out the causes, find out the solutions, and come out with an explanation. And these solutions or explanations will be applied in our day-to-day life in solving certain problems which are confronting us. So, while doing research, it is very important that we need to have a strong motivation because it's a lifelong process, particularly for scientists. They carry out research in their entire life period. But teachers, they do research for acquiring the highest degree, like PhD degree. So if you are interested to do a research, either to get a PhD degree, you need to have a strong desire to get the PhD degree along with consequential benefits. It is very, very important. So desire to face the challenge, because research problem is you are having a problem. So that problem has to be, you have to confront. So you need to have a strong desire to face this particular challenge or the problem in solving the unsolved problem. So therefore, it is a difficult situation. Therefore, you need to have a strong desire and you need to have a challenging mind to solve this particular problem. While solving this particular problem, you need to enjoy, So when you start doing research, you will get an intellectual joy of doing some creative work. That means you need to feel that, yes, I am going to solve this problem. And in that process, you need to have, you need to enjoy while doing research. That is very, very important. In addition to that, when you have a research mind, so you should also desire to be of a service to society. Doing research means it is a service. You are doing a great service to the society. When you do research, you will also get a lot of responsibility. If you have a PhD degree, your own colleagues will respect you. So in that context, the doing research will help you in a different ways. What are the significance of doing research or acquiring a PhD degree? So acquiring a PhD degree means way to attain high position in the academic and social structure. So if you have a PhD degree, you will have promotions. With that promotion, you are also likely to become a professor. By virtue of being a professor, you are also likely to become head of the department, head of the institutions. So therefore, in a social structure, you will be respected. For a professionals, that means we have a many scientists, and research is a source of livelihood for them. And in humanities, we have a philosophers and thinkers, because they do have new ideas and new insight about any problem. If you go to them, they will give you new ideas and solutions. And therefore, we call them as creative men, creative women, because they do the creative work. In addition to that, doing research is a rewarding and also satisfying career. So therefore, you can climb up to the highest order in your structure, in your institutions, and therefore you will all get all the benefits from doing research. And if you have higher degree for research, you will have opportunities for lifelong growth. That means by different opportunities will be opened up, because when you do research, when you publish a paper, these papers, the new ideas, new knowledge will be read by different people, and this will open up altogether different research fields. Therefore, you will also have global career opportunities are going to be opened because of research. In general, research, when you start doing research, it helps in nation building process. So therefore, it is very important that those who are interested in doing research, they are likely to contribute significantly for the nation building process and technology development. And through technology development, any country's development all depends on the research. Therefore, they all need to contribute through research. When we talk about research, basically there are two types of research. One is fundamental research. The other fundamental are called basic research. The second one is called applied research or revolutionary research. All types of research can be broadly classified into basically two types: fundamental or basic research, or applied or revolutionary research. Basic or fundamental research. Basic research is performed in accordance with a set of rules, concepts, procedures called a paradigm, which is well accepted by the scientists working in that field. That means the basic research is all about understanding very fundamental aspects of life, fundamental aspects of the universe, fundamental aspects of any system. For example, discovery of a virus, understanding the structure and function of a virus, it comes under basic research or a fundamental research. Discovering a cell, discovering the cell organelles, discovering the cell organelle function, these are all comes under basic research. So basic research is an investigation on basic principles and reasons for occurrence of a particular event or a process or a phenomenon. Okay. So it is also called theoretical research. the study or investigation of some natural phenomenon such as lightning, thunder, okay, or rain, something in pure science, we call it as a basic research. Basic research sometimes may not lead to immediate use of application. It may not, we cannot develop basic research ideas into technology, but they help us to understand the science very well. It is not concerned with solving any practical problems of immediate interest. Suppose you have a problem in the, for example, you have a disease, new diseases appear. Okay. So basic research will not help you to find a new solutions within next 1 month, 2 months, because you need to understand the basic aspects of the causative agent, okay, the agent responsible for the disease, how it looks like, the structure, function, everything we need to understand. So therefore, it is the original in nature, it is a basic in character, it helps to build a knowledge about that particular phenomenon. So the outcome of basic research, very, very important, because the outcome of basic research will be the basis for applied research or revolutionary research. Now, coming to the second type of research, what we do is applied research. Applied research is otherwise called revolutionary research. Why it is called applied research? Because this is the research which solves certain problems employing well-known accepted theories and principles. If you have a problem, for example, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, it has appeared. Okay, we developed a vaccine within a span of 6 months. Okay, that vaccine has helped us to, cure the disease. So such type of research, we call it as a applied research or revolutionary research. So that means the applied research is helpful, and this is the outcome of which is immediate application. That means any research that we carry out, okay, immediately it will have applications. So in the form of vaccines, in the form of drugs, and these vaccines and drugs, we can use them for treatment of diseases, and we can overcome disease problems. So therefore, such research is of practical use and current activity. So these are all very, very important. And whether it is a basic research or applied research, they fall into these categories. Just a few more points about revolutionary research. Revolutionary research is something that a major sudden impact on society. That means if you do research something, it will have an impact in the society. That means its application part will be of beneficial to society or the humans at large. Therefore, this kind of research also needs a lot of money. High-tech research experiment, it involves huge fund. We have all experienced that. Within a span of 6 months, best scientists all over the world, they join together and they come out with vaccines, and we all took those vaccines, and today we could able to overcome the COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 problem. Okay, we all developed resistance, and now we are able to fight this particular virus. So therefore, this type of research, we call it as a revolutionary research. That means something that the end product of research will have significant impact in the society. Either sometime it is directly useful to humans or directly useful to the society. So in that way, applied research is very, very important. Whether it is a basic research or applied research, either it can be a quantitative research or a qualitative research or qualitative mixed research. We call it as a mixed. These are the, all type of research fall into quantitative research, qualitative research or mixed research. In addition to that, we have a exploratory research, we have a descriptive research, and we have explanatory research, we have a longitudinal research, and cross-sectional research, action research, policy-oriented research, and comparative research, casual research, theory testing research, theory building research, field setting research, clinical research, historical research, conclusion oriented research. So there varieties of research are there. All these will fall into either quantitative or qualitative or mixed type of research. So the research can be classified, can be treated, compared to hourglass notion of research. That means the questions about the big problem, questions about the big problem in the society, big problem in the science subject, is question, is undertaken. The concept, particular literature related to that particular event is, reviewed, and hypothesis is constructed, and hypothesis tested. Hypothesis tested, and finally the experiments are conducted, and the results obtained are based on the results obtained. The generalization of future research is carried out. So therefore, it is the research is something like comparable to hourglass notion of research. So let us try to understand why I should do research. So before I do research, I should ask a question. What is the issue? What is the problem? What is the aim and focus of the research? That is very, very important. So before choosing a topic for either for a PhD degree or for a research project, first we should ask them why, what is the issue? What is the problem? On what particular focus I should conduct a research. You should also ask a question, why is it necessary to do research? Is this a serious problem? Okay. So all these things should be asked. What question need to be answered? What are the important problem? I should find out what are the objectives of the research, and who is the best suitable person, while doing research or for a PhD degree. We need to have a research supervisor. So therefore, who is the best person who can guide me about the research topic? That has to be questioned. What information, evidence already exists? We need to do some basic preliminary work before conducting a research, before undertaking a research problem for a PhD work. We need to do a lot of work. All the basic information we need to collect, and we need to analyze all this data, whether this particular topic is a new thing or whether someone has already completed a research work on this, whether someone has already published a paper on this. So therefore, all this information become very essential before choosing the research topic. What would be the best research methods to use before embarking on research topic? What are the methods I must select, I must use to conduct the research? Whether these facilities are available within my limit, within the college, within the institution, within the purview of the place where I'm going to conduct a research. What are the tasks and who will do that? That is again very, very important. How many years? How does the work need to be completed? How much time I have? How many years of time I have? Whether I can complete within 3 years or 4 years, okay, or 5 years. All these things we need to explore. Once we do that, we can take up a research, and these are the essential steps to carry out a research. One is the most important thing is identifying the research topic. Otherwise, we call it as a problem area. So this is very, very important. Why I should do research? That is one thing. The other one is what topic I should do research. You are specialized in a particular area. You know the various subtopics, sub area. Suppose if I spend something, a new idea, new technology, something that we need to ponder over. Therefore, before choosing any research topic for the PhD, identifying the research topic and or we call it as a problem area is very, very important. Once we identify the research topic or the problem area, we need to collect pertinent literature related to the topic. And therefore, we need to do initial review of literature. Initial review of literature, I will come to that later, how to search the literature. We have different sources and we have library, we have online sources, we have internet sources through various means. Find out whether any work has already been initiated in India or in other part of the world about that particular topic. Okay, so that is, you should make sure that no one has started the research on this particular topic. Okay, so further, you need to further review the literature, narrowing the topic to a specific research problem. If someone has already initiated in the other part of the world, in the other part of India, so therefore, it is not worth doing on the same topic. It becomes redundant. So therefore, you need to redesign, rethink about your research topic, and therefore come out with a specific research problem. Once you have a specific research problem, again continue the review of literature for another few years, few months, and then if the topic is named, no one is doing the research on that particular topic, you can just later, you can formulate the hypothesis, okay, and later determine the basic research approach. You can develop a plan of research and identifying the population and sample. Where can I get the sample? Where can I get all the relevant, samples for my research? And you need to design an experimental plan because that is the blueprint for your, research work. So you need to have a research method, plan of work, and later you need to have a design the data collection plan. How to collect the data? How many years I should collect data? When I am supposed to collect the data? Once you have a huge data, that data has to be analyzed properly. So therefore, you need to use a particular data analysis statistical method. What kind of statistical tool I must use for analyzing the data? So once you do that, you will have a result part. Okay. Once you analyze that, you come out with a research. Once you have a result, based on that, you can implement your research plan. And based on that, you can prepare a research report in the form of a dissertation, a project work, or a thesis. Once you have a thesis or dissertation, finally, you can also think about publishing the outcome of research. That is a novelty that you have, new things that you have discovered. Okay, that can be published, and the new scientific contribution that you are going to make, that can be published in journals, review articles, in world best journals are available. So you can publish that new data or the new information that you have discovered while doing the research, so that entire people in the world will come to know about what kind of research you have done. So as I mentioned, the selection of the research topic is the most important thing. It should be very concise. It should be accurate. It should be informative. No wasted words. Most important phrase first, and description or statement comes later. So therefore, that whether it is a title for your thesis, title for the paper, and the topic is very, very important. Is very, very important. You need to spend a lot of time while designing, while choosing the topic for your research. Once you have done that, you need to do a lot of background work on review of literature, because that gives you an idea the topic that you have chosen is interesting, whether it will have impact or not. Okay, so whether it's a new topic or it is going to become a repetitive. So in that context, collect all the background information, and you need to prepare a brief review of literature, the logic leading to the work, why you have chosen this particular topic. So that you have to ask, this is the logic. So that made me to choose this particular topic. That comes only when you do a lot of review of literature. Okay, that you need to, collect all the world literature that is available, and then you need to analyze and come out with a, statement stating that this is the logic. This is the logic I've chosen this particular topic for my research work. So review of literature will help you make your research problem clear and bring focus into it. And it will also help you to develop or apply research methodology. What kind of methods you should apply for doing the research, and also to know where you are working, because different people are working on a same topic. So you will come to know that whether the same methodology will work or not, and you will also come to know that the broader knowledge of your area in that particular research field. So research and literature review, other called a review of literature, search will select pertinent literature relating to your research topic. So therefore, this is very, very important, review of literature. Source of literature, you can library source, book source, journals. Now electronic sources, both online and offline sources are available. You can collect all the literature sources and do review, the initial review, final review. That will fine tune your research topic, and later you can take up, you prepare the research plan to conduct the research. So literature review process is very, very important. You need to write review of literature under different themes, follow the chronological order, okay, highlight your argument and provide references wherever required. So all these things are very important in a research. Constructing a hypothesis before conducting a research, it is very, very important. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is nothing but anticipation of outcome. Suppose if I do research, what I am going to get, what is the end result? Okay, that assumption or assertion is very, very important. Anticipation of outcome. Suppose if I do 3 years of research, what is that end of the research? I am now going to get that. Okay, what kind of result? So sometime it may be a right, or sometime it may be a wrong, or partially right or partially wrong. So therefore, by keeping all these things, so you should construct a hypothesis. This hypothesis should be very simple and specific and conceptually very clear. It can be tested by using experimental plan. In addition to that, the identifying the variables. What are the variables that will influence the experimental plan? So there are 2 types of variables that are likely to, influence the experimental work. One is independent variables, the other one is dependent variables. You need to identify both of them before conducting the research. Very important thing is that when you identify the topic, you need to identify objectives of the research work. So objectives are nothing but the goals of your research study, and they can be a main objectives. You can have it 2 to 3 or 4 objectives. Within the main objectives, you can have secondary objectives also, but these objectives must be very clear, complete and specific. You should be able to complete at the end of research period. Once you have these objectives, you can, next step is research or experimental design. So experimental design is nothing but it is the plan. It is the structure and strategy of investigating a research problem. It is an operational plan or procedures to be adopted, or testing the design or experiment with appropriate controls and treatment. All these things you need to have a plan, otherwise called research methodology part, experimental part. So you need to have a blueprint of this experimental design so that you can conduct an experiment using appropriate methods, and that will help you to come out with a research results. Once you conduct the experiment, you get a lot of, for example, we have people in humanities, so they conduct a altogether different kind of a research. Those who in science field, they have to conduct the experiment based on the experiment, they collect the results. So therefore, data collection methods varies from fundamental research or applied research, and therefore it all depends on the primary sources from observation, interview, questionnaire, use of secondary sources, conducting experiment in case of scientific field, validating the data by selected instruments. Okay, all these will help us to come out with a data which is very important for compiling the research work. This is very important that you need to use different materials and methods. Especially this is very common, whether it is a humanities or science. You need materials. What are the materials that we are going to use? What kind of plant we are going to use? How many plants we are going to use? How much sample you are going to analyze? What kind of sample? Okay, what, when, where, how much? All these things in a chronological order we have to write. Similarly, the method, what kind of methods we are going to apply to get the result, that is very, very important. Okay. So, how many samples we are going to use? What is the type? What is the size? What is the species? Treatment 1, treatment 2, treatment 3. So, appropriate controls. These things we have to write in the material methods. Once you have these materials and once you have completed the experimental plan, so you have to collect the data, and that data will be analyzed statistically, and based on that, you are going to come out with a figures and tables. You need to construct, first you need to construct figures and tables. Based on these figures and tables, you are going to write the results. This present the explanations of the result, and the validity of hypotheses are discussed along with the various tests of validity tests. Okay, and tables and figures are often effectively used to present your findings, and these tables and figures helps to organize and emphasize information on findings. Finally, data processing is very important. Verifying the data. Hello. Hello, excuse me. Please switch off your audios. Someone is discussing something. So once you have a results, once you have completed the result, the next one is the discussion. That is very, very important. So in the discussion part, you are supposed to write, when you conduct the experiment, why did it happen? You got some result. Why these results came? What does it mean? You need to interpret the results. Interpretation, the findings in relation to your hypothesis. You have made a hypothesis, whether the findings of the present study, whether they are related to your hypothesis or related to the other work. Assess the validity, whether the results obtained, they answered your questions. So you have to comment on the significance, explain the negative results, relevance to present conditions, new lines of study, thesis or the dissertation. Writing and conclusion. Sometimes people confuse between conclusions and also result. Conclusions are the findings, the implications of your research work. Conclusions are extrapolate beyond the findings, examining, interpreting the principles and implications of the study. So that is very, very subjective, and finally, you are supposed to give a summary and also conclusions, and they are written in the final selection of your discussion. Or sometime you can also, dedicate 1 or 2 pages to write about summary and conclusion. At the end of the research work, you need to compile all the list of source material. So because for review of literature, you have collected lot of material, okay? All those resource material that are used for or that have been used for preparation of your thesis work need to be referred, need to be cited at the end of the thesis or the dissertation. Check all the references mentioned or cited in the paper in the journal format style. There are specific styles are there. You have to follow those journal specific style while citing the references at the end of the thesis or the end of the report. Sometimes the badly typed references make lot of work for the editor while publishing, and sometimes he may reject your paper also. Poorly written list may warrant rejection of the paper. So in that context, the references should be written as per the journal format, or for the thesis acceptable format is available. We should follow that. There are certain formats. So for a book, you have to write a particular format. For edited book, you have to write a particular format. For research paper, we have a single author, we have a 2 author, we have a 3 author, more than 3 author. There is a particular format is available. You have to follow that format. Once you have completed the reference section, you need to acknowledge all those who have helped you carry out the research work. So careful thought needs to be given concerning those whose help should be acknowledged and in whatever order. Okay, those who have helped you immensely. So, for example, your guide who has helped you throughout your research career, he should be thanked first, followed by head of the department, followed by other institutions, followed by your friends, finally your family, something like that. Okay, it is very, very important. So usually the main supervisor who helped you to conduct the research work, if you have a co-guide, a second supervisor will be thanked, and all other staff members of your department or institution will be thanked later, and technical support you have taken for your research will be thanked later. Academic staff from other department, other institutions, family, friend. So this is the order. Accordingly, you have to write the acknowledgements. Acknowledgement should also include the moral support extended by people, financial support, editorial support, presentational support, instrumental or technical support, conceptual support, peer interactive communication. Your research papers have been reviewed by expert professor. So all those people need to be acknowledged or thanked. Once you have that data, so the thesis writing become an important component. So you have to follow certain standard, international standards and national standard. Universities have their own standard of writing the thesis. Okay, while registering for PhD, they will give you the the format of the PhD thesis, how it should be. You should use that format to write the thesis. Use appropriate referencing and citation system. Very, very important. So this I have already told you. Preparation of a bibliography is a very essential, and the avoid plagiarism. Copying from other sources is not correct, and it will warrants the rejection of the thesis. While writing the thesis, so it is very important that we English language is very, very important. Keep the your thesis well written so that the rejection can be avoided. Once you come to know that your research work is really worth publishing, you have discovered something new thing that needs to be published. Written research reports communicate knowledge within the research and scientific community. Publications are primary means of disseminating research knowledge. So therefore, you need to publish them. So once published, research results will become public domain. So however, the original ideas must always be recognized. So therefore, in addition to journal publications, there are other technical bulletins, reports. You can also publish them in proceedings papers, symposia, workshop papers. So like this, you can publish variety of publication systems are available. when you are writing a papers, your focus should be on innovation. What is that new thing that I have added, discovered from my research? So your focus should be on innovation, and paper structure you need to understand, and then make it readable and interesting to others. Decide well in advance where to publish. So, okay, very important. There are so many journals are available, online journals are available, peer-reviewed journals are available. Now it is very important that once your work is, something very innovative, you need to publish them in peer-reviewed journals or Scopus index journals. So you have to maintain ethics and integrity. That means it is very, very important, and no question of manipulating the data. That is very, very important in research, and quality counts more than a quantity. Instead of publishing 10 papers, that is not enough. Publish one paper with a good quality journal. That is very, very important. So while publishing in journal, you should know that there are certain journal publish papers 6 monthly or yearly, 2 yearly, something like that. So therefore, how many issues a particular journal publishes in a year, all these things you need to understand before sending the paper for communication, because some journals will take you longer period. So therefore, you cannot wait for longer period. So therefore, you should decide before sending the paper for particular journal, you should decide which journal I should publish. When you send the paper for particular journal, there will be a review system. Review system in the sense, the paper that you have communicated will be sent to an expert in that particular field. One subject expert say, yes, paper can be accepted. The other will say, may be accepted. The other will say, no. So the peer review system is very, very important. Again, your paper will be, based on the comments given by the third peer, reviewer. Comments will be sent to you. You need to attend those comments and send them back to the journals. And once the third reviewer give the consent that paper may be published, your paper will appear in the peer-reviewed journal system. So therefore, review comments are very, very important, and acceptance sometimes very difficult, and only peer-reviewed journals will have quality. So therefore, try to publish papers only in the peer-reviewed journal, so that your papers will be read throughout the world, and it will reach people who are interested in the particular area. Many times, the paper that we publish will be rejected. Among the common reasons that are proposed, referred publication failed to be rejected, one is inadequate identification of a research problem. This I have already told you. While selecting the research problem, if you have selected a research problem is not of current research importance, then paper will not be accepted. Inappropriate or unclear methods and procedure. If you do not follow certain methods, scientific method while conducting the research, journal, paper will be rejected. Inappropriate material for proposed publication. Failure to communicate what is important, original. We have done some original research. You have got very good result, but we have failed to, incorporate some of these components in our paper. That also leads to rejection of paper. Sometimes the overall organization of the paper will be poor, and therefore paper will be rejected. So therefore, care must be given while writing the paper in such a way that the paper will overcome all these problems, and so that it will be accepted for publications. In addition to publishing papers in research journals, peer-reviewed journals, you can also, give a seminar and participate in seminars. You can present them in as conferences. You can publish them in papers. You can also publish them in books. Entire thesis can be converted into a monograph. Okay. And therefore, these are all the other way of publishing your research work in other than journal papers. Sometimes the research work is so important, you cannot publish. So you need to go for patenting. Commercializing the research outcome is also very important because it is worth, it is also worth, because by patenting, you can take all the, the royalty that comes out of a patent. So because if your work is intellectual property, related to intellectual property, instead of publishing a paper, go for a patenting. So once you have a patenting, you can develop a prototypes. Based on the prototypes, you can have your own business plans. You can, sell the product to a industry, and you can also start a venture capital. Okay, there are many people, and if you are interested in developing your research ideas into a drug, that can also be done by investing in a venture capital. While doing research, ethics is very, very important. Balance between protecting participant versus quest for knowledge. So ethical issues relating to research participants, okay, their consent, incentives, sensitive information, harm to participant, ethical issues relating to a researcher, avoiding bias, using appropriate research methodology. Sometimes we take the research methods from others, but we do not quote them. We do not cite them. So that leads to plagiarism. Sometimes we take the research ideas from some other paper without taking a consent from the author, okay, or assent by the contributors. Without referring, without citing, we have taken some information, very important information, but we have failed to acknowledge. We failed to submit that in our thesis or in our research paper. That leads to plagiarism. Maintaining confidentiality and anonymity. Acknowledging the financial, technical, and academic support. We have taken financial aid, we have taken technical support, we have taken academic support, but we have not cited, we have not thanked them, we have not acknowledged them. All these things leads to plagiarism. So therefore, it is very important in scientific research that the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own, that we claim that it is our own, and in precise word, we call it as a plagiarism. So plagiarism is an act of fraud. We should not do that in research. It involves both stealing someone else's artwork or scientific work, without acknowledging them. So that is the plagiarism. So therefore, so in the plagiarism, no credit will be given, okay, though you have taken the published material from others. So therefore, this plagiarism, submitting someone's work as their own. So we have taken, but in the thesis, we have not acknowledged. Taking passages from their own previous work without acknowledging that. Rewriting someone's work without properly citing resources. Using quotations, but not citing the source. So like this, we take some of the best information from, technical knowledge from others' work, we don't cite them. So all this leads to plagiarism. But in the university system, we have a plagiarism check, okay? Both online, free online plagiarism checkers are available before submitting the thesis, before submitting the paper for, publication. This plagiarism check can be assessed. There are many softwares are available. By submitting our papers to these plagiarism check, we can avoid. And we can also come to know that how much, information we have taken from others without acknowledging others. For thesis, 10 to 15%, thesis acceptability. When you check the plagiarism through software, your thesis should have 10 to 15%, less than 10 to 15%, okay? Then only your thesis will be accepted for publication. If it contains more than 20%, means this thesis needs to be rewritten. It needs to be, references needs to be cited properly. All those things we need to look into before doing that. So there are many books, research books are available. I have mentioned some of these things. Maybe this PPT may be available later. You can use, these are some of the important books. And there is a book called The Illustrated Guide to a PhD written by Matt Might. Okay, so this will give you an idea about how to conduct a research. Okay, so those who are interested, you can download this online, offline copies are also available. There is another book written by Estelle M. Phillips and Derek S. Pugh, How to Get a PhD, a handbook for student and also supervisor. This is also available. You can get into that. One more book, How to Get a PhD, a handbook for students and their supervisor. Okay, this book is also very useful. And by doing this, by following this, you can conduct a very good research, and this research will help you to publish a quality papers, and thus quality papers help us to recognize in the scientific community or in your area of research, and this is how research